I
Mhm.
found a deposition, and this is one of those instances where you just stumble across something. I was doing research for someone else that had sent in a request to search in the depositions for the land office. And I was flipping through those, and I come across a McWilliams name. I'm like, huh, all right, well, that's interesting. And it's Mercer County. I'm like, I know of McWilliamses in Mercer County. And I was always wondered if my John was that John in Mercer County, because it's around the right time period, 1790s. It's really close to Erie County. So I go and I look at that and I start reading it, and I'm like, oh, there's other depositions, and they reference that there's a deposition from this John McWilliams. I'm like, oh gosh, I got to find that. And I looked and looked, and I spent so much time going through these because they're not indexed at all, and so I'm just flipping through, and I come across his deposition, and I come across several other depositions related to this case that all reference him, and it was an exhilarating find, but it's that high and low that genealogists are all expecting. I have no evidence that it's him. Nothing in his deposition, nothing in all the other records that talk about him provide enough information to say if it's my guy at all. And the timeline that he provides in the deposition sort of eliminates my guy.
Mm.
But it's such a situation though that you wonder, could it have been a lie, some of the information, because it's a dispute. And reading these depositions, everybody's telling a little bit different story. And it all depended on time, when someone was there, when they did this. So which side is kind of fibbing, because they're all telling different stories about it. And I looked at the signature on it, and it doesn't look like my guy's signature, but it's a very clean, neat signature. So then it makes me wonder, was it a clerk? Did someone else kind of sign the document for him? Because the signature is so, it's like a clerk's neat. It is so beautifully written that, in looking at everybody else's deposition, no one else has that beautiful signature except for another McWilliams that was signed. They had almost the exact same signature. But I want him to be mine because in the depositions, you find out that this John McWilliams had threatened to blow the brains out of another settler there. And the deposition said that while the other settlers were talking to him to try and calm him down and trying to settle the situation, they said he started pulling out bullets and putting them in his mouth to get ready to load the rifle. So that those settlers decided to leave. I'm like, it's such a great story related to this guy. And there's conflict. There's people stealing the shingles off of roof, burning down people's cabins. I mean, it's such a great story. If you're talking about narratives, it's such a great story. I want to tie into him in this conflict, but it's not enough. But it's a great story.
It's fantastic. And it blows apart this belief that we had that everyone got along so well in the past. It was all wonderful until the Civil War, and then everything fell apart. And then we all got along again. It's like, no.
It is. It's everything kind of balled up in one, because not only do you have that, but it also has the complexity of things. In this case, there was 3 different parties involved. You had squatters, which the McWilliams and the handful of others were. You had a land speculation company, a company with shareholders in Philadelphia just buying land up in Western Pennsylvania. Then you have land jobbers that were involved. These are individuals that had basically went up into the woods, found a piece of land, maybe girdled some trees, and then say it's a mine and try and sell it. So you have all these parties arguing. You have different allegiances being formed between the parties. You had the squatters teaming up with the population company. You had land jobbers teaming up with some other squatters. It just shows the complexity of history that's there, that you often don't come across just if you're just collecting names and dates and places.
And I bet you learned more about history reading that document and getting all the context, researching your ancestor, than you ever did in a class.
Yeah, you learned that. I mean, we learned the big events, the big issues in history in school, but it's this microcosm, this boiling under the surface that was also there that did touch on it. It's kind of like the sun. You have all those different layers of all the bubbling gases, and only some of it reaches the surface, and that's what we see, is that surface explosion. But it's all of these interactions under the surface that lead to these major events that largely remain uncovered, and it keeps on going deeper. You have the state level, you have the county level, regional level, and then you have the local level, and all that filters up.
It's so true. It's part of me doesn't know how people are not addicted to genealogy. I mean, it's so fascinating as you travel back and learn all these stories. I mean, it's just never ending for so many of us.